villains. This includes Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super, along with all the movies. So yeah, gonna be looking forward to that. You see top 5 on screen, but you see 6 villains on screen. So which of these 5 are going to make my top 5 cut? Or which of these 6 are going to make my top 5 cut for my top 5 favorite Dragon Ball villains? Well, tune into the rest of the video and find out. We're going to dive into it. For 5 spot, we have Majin Buu, or more specifically, we have Kid Buu. So Majin Buu was introduced to us in the Buu saga, obviously. The Z Fighters were preparing for the 28th Budokai. Yeah, and they go there and they meet a couple strange folks, and they're told about. They're eventually told about, like, once they realize that there's some bad guys there and whatnot, and they fly off with the Supreme Kai and whatnot, they learn about a being known as Majin Buu, or Buu, who was created by, or, I mean, there's contradictions on his existence. Like, some say he was, before time, and some say he was created by Bibbidi, so it's just, I guess, until they make like a definitive statement on that. I'm pretty sure the last thing I heard was that he was always existed. Anyways, he's a very sick character. Majin Buu is shown to have some amazing regenerative abilities and the ability to learn moves on the fly. He mollywopped Dabura, went on to mollywop Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Supreme Kai, and then mollywop Vegeta, well, he didn't mollywop, but he beat up on Gotenks. He got a new form, mind you. He spit out the evil from his body, become this gray matter. Then the gray matter absorbed Mr. Buu, become Super Buu. Super Buu absorbs all kinds of Z Fighters and, just Earth's population in general. Ends up becoming so strong that he is able to defeat a Gohan who just had his potential unlocked by the old Kai. And then, so the old Kai gives Goku a chance to go back down and fight one more time. Goku is able to use fusion with Vegeta and become Vegito, where they beat up, the strongest version of Buu, and allow themselves to get absorbed, where they will go inside and release everybody that's been absorbed. So Buu reverts back to his pure form, which is this, the version you see on screen, Kid Buu, the most dangerous form. He's not the strongest, obviously. Super Buu is probably stronger, and Buhan and Bootinks were obviously stronger. But this one's the most dangerous and has a personality similar to young, spoiled, selfish brat. And like doesn't have any compassion or remorse for any of his actions. He actually like enjoys very like a sociopath, psychopath as well. Very unpredictable, very childlike and unpredictable. Just a very dangerous person. It's like a kid that's got all the strength in the world and don't know how to contain it. So yeah, Majin Buu, definitely one of my favorite characters. I think he was the first villain to destroy the Earth, which was super cool. His English dub voice actor was really cool. I enjoyed listening to his sounds. he was quite funny. He had a little mini fight with Mr. Buu, during his break, and in between fight, he was fighting Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and he actually fought Super Saiyan 3 Goku on an even basis. So that just shows how strong Kid Buu actually is. He may not be Bootinks or Buhan level, but he's absolutely very formidable. His regeneration and ability to like learn moves on the fly are just incredible. Makes him a very dangerous threat for the Z Fighters. And like I mentioned, he did destroy Earth. And as soon as he destroyed Earth, he started going around destroying galaxies, galaxy upon galaxy, until he made his way to heaven, the other world, where he made quick work of people like, or would have made quick work of people like Krillin, Yamcha, Pycon, um, and that other fighter that fought Pycon in the semifinals before he fought Goku. I forgot his name. Drop it down below if you remember. But yeah, so Kid Boo's definitely up there. You know, let's talk about, like, I wish I could talk about his biological makeup. Like, I don't know if it's ever been, 100% explained to us, but this thing is a wicked monster. Just the way he fought against the Supreme Kais, way back when he defeated the West Supreme Kai, North Supreme Kai, and the South Supreme Kai. Boo mollywopped them, absorbed the ones that he wanted to absorb, left the ones for dead, and etc. etc. Majin Buu, definitely one of the coolest villains in the Dragon Ball franchise, and he was pink. As weird as that sounds, like it's usually something that deters fear. Pink usually excites folks, easy on their eyes and whatnot, but not this menace. This menace is very, very scary, very, very powerful, and like I mentioned, very, very unpredictable. So yeah, it's gonna be Majin Buu, here at the number 5 spot, and we'll dive into number 4 now. The iconic villain in the franchise, Frieza, the Emperor of Universe 7. He's amazing. he was introduced to us at a time where Goku was a lot younger. All the Z Fighters were a lot younger, meaning they weren't as strong. Meaning Frieza seemed a lot stronger than he actually was. But Frieza is a prodigy. Frieza is a prodigy. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's just go ahead and talk about, the introduction to Frieza. So, the Saiyans, wreaked havoc on Earth, Nappa, Vegeta, and Raditz. Eventually defeated, but the Dragon Balls were mentioned, and they're going to Namek to get those Dragon Balls and revive everybody that died during the Saiyan saga, because the Earth Dragon Balls went when Piccolo went. So they got to go to Namek. Frieza, hearing of this, hears about the Dragon Balls, and he goes to Namek as well. So that's really cool. He is shown, everybody that knows of his name is shown to be incredibly fearful of him, even King Kai, which is really, really cool, because King Kai is a god, a Kai, Kai level god or whatever. Frieza actually exterminated the Saiyans way back when to prevent them from becoming Super Saiyans and overthrowing his empire, which, is a really, really cool backstory. It gives Vegeta a lot of character development. It gives Goku and his family and the Saiyans better character development, knowing that they were working for this ruthless emperor who, only cared about himself. So Frieza's father was basically a mutant, some kind of, his race, part of the Frieza Force, Frieza's race or whatever. It had an abnormally high power level, and I'm guessing, some kind of biological passing to Frieza. Frieza becomes this prodigy whose natural growth and power required him to never undergo any real training, and he, still became one of the most powerful entities or beings in Universe 7. And he said, I think he said something like, the only people that's ever caused him pain was his parents. And then there was a mini movie, or a movie of Goku's dad, Bardock, where it shows Frieza destroying the planet and destroying Bardock in the process as well. It was pretty cool. Frieza goes on to demonstrate, transformations, and he's actually not transforming up, but reverting back to his normal um, form. So his first, second, and third form were actually um, transformations he learned to try to control and suppress his own energy and his own power, which is super dope. This guy was 100% evil, like not a good bone in his body, literally. Um, he was shown to have no mercy, very ruthless, and he's smart. He's a smart fighter. Yeah, well, he's a smart person. He's an emperor, so he is smart. Um, yeah, definitely one of the more intelligent villains. Most villains are brutes, with strength. Like Nappa was. Um, other fighters prior to Frieza. Even the Ginyu Force, some of the Ginyu Force and Vegeta even were a little bit, overconfident. And Frieza's a little bit overconfident too, but he's smart. He's smart at the same time that he's overconfident. So, anyways, Frieza, mollywops everybody, beats up Piccolo, beats up Gohan, beats up Vegeta, and fights Goku. And Goku's actually giving him a run for his money, and he acknowledges the resemblance to Bardock, the Saiyan he killed so long ago, and he ends up tanking a spirit bomb, fights Goku's Kaioken, and just basically handles everything that Goku had to throw at him. And after he takes the spirit bomb, he shoots a death beam through Piccolo and then crushes Krillin, causing Goku to transform to the legendary Super Saiyan. In turn, this causes Frieza to show his 100% full power, where he buffs up from the form you see on screen, and he fights Goku to a better level, but still Super Saiyan's got the upper hand. And he's eventually defeated, and he returns. He returns to Earth before Goku does, actually, but he's met by future Trunks, and he is mercilessly destroyed once again, and he dies this time. But many years pass, and Cell's defeated, Boo's defeated, and then Frieza's army resurrects Frieza. And we have the resurrection of F art, where Frieza reveals he is trained for 4 to 6 months and has found a new transformation, and he picked the coloration of gold to mock the Super Saiyans, and he's actually went from Namek, Namek tier, Super Saiyan tier, all the way up to Super Saiyan Blue tier and beyond. So that just goes to show how incredibly strong Frieza was, and how he's a prodigy and whatnot. And Dragon Ball Super actually ended with Frieza being brought back to life 100%. Like after he was defeated in the resurrection of F Arc by Goku and Vegeta, he was recruited for the Tournament of Power, and he was one of the remaining fighters. He actually teamed up with Goku to defeat Jiren at the end, but he was brought back to life 100%, and he goes back to his empire. And he's got some kind of evil deeds coming back. He's the greatest villain. He's the most iconic villain. He's not my favorite villain, but he's the greatest and the most iconic villain. And we've got something to look forward to in a future series now that he is back to life and back to scheming. And that he's going to earn the number 4 spot on my list, and we'll be moving to number 3 now. He's got a super dope design. First of all, he's got he walks on 2 legs. He's insect-like or insectoid or whatever you want to call it. He's got those 2 it's not like a crown, but it's not like horns either. It's more like the V shape on his forehead. I don't know what to call it, but it's super dope. Imperfect Cell has a super, all of the Cell's forms, all of his transformations have really cool designs in my opinion, and the way he portrayed himself as a character like, he wanted to look at himself as strong, intelligent, diabolical, and he wanted everybody to acknowledge his perfectness, his his perfectness. Cell is a being created by, like I said, Dr. Giro, but using the cells of Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, all the top fighter Earthlings, all the top fighter, all the top fighters from Earth, Piccolo, the Namekian, Goku, Vegeta, all the way. They basically, and they've had Frieza cells, King Cold cells, Future Trunks' cells, all of their cells put together to create, the perfect fighter. And so he's got this desire to absorb both Android 17 and 18, and this is what fuels his ambition, I guess, during his imperfect form. He reaches his second semi-perfect form, and then he finally reaches his perfect form, where the dude, he just mollywops. Beats up Super Vegeta, beats up Super Trunks, fights Goku to stalemate, and was only using around half of his power, roughly, and mops the floor with Super Saiyan Gohan, forcing Super Saiyan Gohan to actually go Super Saiyan 2, which was one of the coolest moments. He showed some very demented or wicked characteristics whenever Android 16 was talking to Gohan about letting loose and just protecting what you love and stuff like that. He just walks over and crushes his head. It's one of the more violent deaths, in my opinion. I thought it was pretty, wicked, but it was really like impactful, because it's what made Gohan snap, and it also just showed like how sick and like how much of Frieza's traits were shining through Cell at that point. He's definitely yeah. Speaking of Frieza, like I was talking about his sadistic personality and whatnot, he's also got these polite manners with this snide, sarcastic, tone to it. Yeah, he's just as demented as Frieza is, and he's a lot stronger than Frieza in the Namek Saga, obviously. If Cell ever came back as Golden Cell or something, then we'd have something else to talk about. But yeah, that's basically it for Cell. He had super dope fights. So let's talk about this Cell in particular. Future Cell, the one that came back and the one that fought Gohan and had the beam struggle. The other cells don't matter too much. One was wiped out before it had a chance, and then the other one was, weak enough to be wiped out by a Super Saiyan Trunks in the future timeline. This Cell, however, had a even fight with Super Namekian Piccolo after, absorbing Nail and Kami. So that was super cool that he was able to, fight on par, even in his imperfect form. He also fought 17 and 16 in his imperfect form and was able to defeat both. He had, a lot more trouble with 16, who was roughly equivalent to Cell in both speed and strength. And 16 even said that he would defeat Cell. 16's actually one of my favorite characters. However, I don't think he would make the top 5 on any list. Anyways, so Cell actually absorbs 17 and becomes semi-perfect Cell, and now he's 16 has no way of fighting him now. Can't even stand up to him. Android 18 is completely outmatched as well. Then Super Vegeta comes with his son Trunks, and they beat up Cell quite a bit until the point where Cell is smart enough to realize that he has the same Saiyan genes that Vegeta has, and uses that against Vegeta, knowing that Vegeta would want a better fight, stronger competition, and he uses that against Vegeta, letting Vegeta know that he can transform once more if he's allowed to absorb Android 18, in which Vegeta allows. He's like, okay, go ahead and absorb her, and I'll fight you at your perfect form. After this, Perfect Cell becomes unbelievably strong. He mops the okay. He doesn't even feel Krillin's attacks. Mops the floor with both Vegeta and Super, Ultra Super Saiyan Trunks or whatever. Mops the floor with them. Shows off his power. Shows off his. Um, he powers up. He shows off his power. Shows off his genius. He creates an arena for the tournament using like telekinesis powers, and announces the Cell Games. He's actually calling the tournament. It's sort of similar to the X Games, but he's calling them the Cell Games. After himself, showing more how he loves to be looked at and praised for his perfectness and whatnot. So he has this awesome fight with Goku, in which he survives everything Goku has to throw at him, and completely outmatches Goku. Even though it looks like a close fight, it's not. Anyways, Goku forfeits his fight against Cell and lets his son fight him. And Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2 and forces Cell, into the realization that he cannot defeat Gohan. So he tries to blow up the planet by self-destructing, and Goku teleports himself and Cell to the other world at King Kai's planet, and Cell blows up there, and he is able to regenerate because of a little piece of his brain or whatever was able to survive the explosion and regenerated himself 100%. And like Saiyans, he comes back with a Zenkai boost, and now he's super perfect Cell, and he fights. As soon as he gets back, he shoots Trunks right through the chest, kills Trunks. I'm pretty sure Trunks dies right there. And then Vegeta rages, and it's nothing to Cell. And we've saw Vegeta's rages before. We've seen him rage against Beerus and their power gap. We've seen him rage against Boo and their power gap. And we've seen him do some pretty amazing things. But to Cell, it was nothing. He just smacks Vegeta around for a minute and then goes to blast Vegeta. Gohan jumps in the way and gets severely weakened by his arm being pretty much destroyed, blasted. And now we have Cell taunting the Z Fighters, and eventually gets into a beam struggle with Gohan, where Gohan finally unleashes his full power as a Super Saiyan 2 and completely eradicates Cell, getting rid of one of the best villains in the series. So he had a really cool story and just had a lot of impact on me as a person. I think the way his mindset and the way just his personality in general is really cool, and the way he presents himself as an intelligent, perfect being was really dope. Not to mention he was one of the strongest and one of the best fighters, gaining all the other Z Fighters techniques and whatnot. So yeah, we're gonna hop into number 2 now. Alright, so here at number 2 we have Goku Black, or Zamasu, whatever you want to call him. The one in Goku's body is the cooler one, obviously. The other one's just, a high tier fighter of the Supreme Kais, who is around Super Saiyan 2 level, maybe Super Saiyan 3 level. Anyways, when he invades Goku's body and becomes Goku Black, he gives us one of the best villains of all time in the history of anime, really. It was super dope to turn the main character's face into the face of evil, in my opinion. I think the fact that he came back from the Future Trunks saga, it brings back a new Future Trunks saga. That was really dope. So we see one of Goku's Black's first things he's doing in the show. Something that we see of him doing is just destroying the city, destroying the land and whatnot. And we see him kill future Bulma. We see him kill Trunks' mother, and we presumably see him kill Mai as well. Beats up future Trunks. Basically uses future Trunks as a sparring partner, and it gives us this mystery that Dragon Ball needs a lot more of. Like the mystery of who Goku Black was. It ate at me so bad. Like I wanted to know so bad, who is this man? And finding out that it was a Supreme Kai gone rogue was so cool, man. So Zamasu, he felt like mortals shouldn't be as strong as they are nowadays, after learning that mortals, saved the Supreme Kai from Majin Buu and some other stuff, being seen with an angel and being seen with the God of Destruction, etc. He spars with Goku and takes an interest in Goku. So he goes to Zuno, the all-knowing man or whatever, and uses his knowledge to figure out about the Dragon Balls, to figure out about Goku and the Saiyans and whatnot. And he's traveling through the timelines and stuff. He uses the Super Dragon Balls to wish for an invincible body. He uses the Dragon Balls to swap his mind and body with Goku's mind and body. And now he's got a Saiyan body with a God mind. And he's very sadistic and has this wicked sense of justice. He fights, Future Trunks. He fights Goku. Spars with Super Saiyan 2 Goku. Eventually, he fights Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta. And he transforms into his own Super Saiyan Rose, which is his version of Super Saiyan Blue, basically. In the manga, he actually fought in Super Saiyan for a minute before before showing his pink form, and he's just a super dope character. I can't say I keep saying that because that's the only words that come to mind. So Goku Black as a Super Saiyan Rose, or Super Saiyan Rose, or just Rose, whatever you want to call it, he is able to fight Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta, and Goku on an even level. Even after their Zenkai boost, he's able to make a scythe out of, like his own energy, and he rips a hole in the dimension. He makes copies of himself, and his powers, the way he was evolving constantly was insane. He got mollywopped by Goku, he got mollywopped by Vegeta, and at the end of the fight, he ends up smiling, protecting himself and smiling about it, knowing that he's about to get stronger himself. He was a very sadistic type character, one of the most sadistic characters in the franchise. Just the way he enjoyed being hurt, knowing that he would come back stronger, and knowing that his ultimate plan was to get as strong as possible using his infinite evolution growth, and to combine with, the other Zamasu's invincible body or immortal body. They're using the word invincible in the English dub now, so I think that's a lot better word to use, since immortal has quite an ambiguous meaning. I definitely think that Goku Black's one of the coolest characters. The way he was introduced, the way everything that he did, the way he killed Bulma, the way he killed Chi-Chi and Goten, very, very dark stuff that we saw here, as always, whenever the Future Trunks arc. Whenever Future Trunks is around, the arcs tend to be dark. And yeah, he steals a time ring. He travels back and forth through time. He does whatever he wants. He eliminates all the Supreme Kais, which kills all the Gods of Destruction thanks to their life link and all that stuff. And they finally fuse. Zamasu and Goku Black use their Potara earrings to fuse into merge to Zamasu, who has unimaginable power. I won't talk about Fuse Zamasu or Merge Zamasu or just Zamasu, whatever you want to call him. I won't talk about him in this video because this is mostly about Goku Black. Lots of cool things we saw from Goku Black was seeing him, have this, putting his own energy scythe through future Zamasu, seeing the sword in his own back and smiling about it. When he stuck the scythe in his hand and ripped a bigger scythe out and then poured the hole in the dimension where his clones came from, that was incredible as well. Yeah, lots of cool things we saw from Zamasu and Goku Black. They are one and the same, and obviously I'm a big fan of the Saiyans in Dragon Ball. Their race is a top tier race in my opinion, and seeing Zamasu in Goku's body was one of the coolest things in my opinion. So Goku Black's going to earn the top spot here because of his sadistic personality, his ruthlessness, the way he just kept slaughtered. He had a sense of justice and he had a reason for everything he did, but he went about it in what they would call a roundabout way. So yeah, he is going to get the number 2 spot here, and we'll be moving on to a number 1 spot in Saga. He returns as villain in the Buu Saga, where he undergoes the Majin transformation. So Vegeta, being one of my top favorite characters, has one of the best character developments in the show, probably the best. His personality is, sick. He's a bit arrogant, bitter, mid-aged man who, he's a mean person. But the reason he's mean has a backstory to it that, that's a topic for another video. I'm just talking about how awesome of a villain he was. He was able to take everything Goku had to dish at him back in the Saiyan Saga, but I want to talk more about Majin Vegeta, as this is when, he was a lot stronger as a Majin, and this was his most ruthless form, and it was because he wanted to be stronger. This strength came at a price. And I'm pretty sure in the English dub, he says it's a price he was willing to pay, or he was quite satisfied with the results, even if it came at a price. Something along those lines. So what had happened was, Goku and Vegeta were at the 28th tournament. They're fighting all these guys. Well, they're seeing these guys fight, and they see the crowd not being able to understand how these guys have gotten so much stronger than what they used to be. And they can tell something's off. And then Gohan, shows his power versus Kibito, and he is attacked. Once Gohan is attacked, the Z Fighters follow the Supreme Kai, and they learn about Majin Buu, they learn about Babidi, Deborah, and etc., etc. This is actually the 25th tournament. I think I said 28th. I meant to say 25th. So they follow the Supreme Kai, where Kibito is basically destroyed. Piccolo and Krillin are turned to stone, and Deborah and Babidi go into their spaceship, where the 3 Saiyans and the Supreme Kai follow. And they fight their way down each level of this Majin ship, or whatever you want to call it. Vegeta wins a rock paper scissors match. He fights Pui Pui, dominates. Goku goes second against Yakon, and he exhibits Super Saiyan 2 powers, and Vegeta gets a nice little brief glimpse, and Vegeta realizes that even after he's been training as hard as he could for 7 years, that there was still a gap between his power and Goku's power. He sees Gohan fight Deborah, and it's, let's see here. Gohan has lacked in training, and Deborah's giving him a run for his money, and this aggravates, agitates, and is bothering Vegeta. And Deborah notices that, and he lets, he basically forfeits his fight and lets Babidi know that there's another warrior upon the ship that they could take control of. So So Babidi, he's okay with it, and he starts to use his Majin spell on Vegeta. Sorry about that, had my alarm went off. So they start trying to take over Vegeta's mind, and Vegeta seems overwhelmed by Babidi and transforms into the powerful Majin Vegeta form, and Babidi orders him to destroy Goku, Gohan, and Shin, who is the Supreme Kai, but Vegeta refuses, saying that he will only fight Goku. So the fact that as soon as he was put under this spell, he immediately refuses his mind control. That was one of the coolest things already. His pride and his willpower was stronger than the mind control. So we learned that he wasn't actually overwhelmed by Babidi. He let himself become possessed by Babidi so that he could become stronger. He said, I was cold and ruthless, uninhibited by foolish emotion." That was one of my favorite quotes growing up. And especially coming from Vegeta and knowing his backstory and all that stuff combined. So Vegeta, he's got enhanced Super Saiyan 2 powers and fights Goku. Now he forces Goku to fight him by killing civilians at they go back to the tournament, and he kills civilians at the tournament, just blows them up. Bulma is terrified. Yamcha's pretty sad. The rest of the Z Fighters are sad. Goku's tore all to pieces and agrees to fight Vegeta. So now Vegeta and Goku fight. I mean, this is one of the best choreographed fights in the series, in my opinion. The way that they locked hands, the way they threw knees and headbutts, and oh man, it was really, really good art, really great animation. And Goku explains to Vegeta why he chose this way. Why did he choose this way? He chose to be this way because he felt himself becoming comfortable with settling down with an Earthling family, and was becoming this more sensitive guy, and felt like when he was on his path long ago of evil and ruthlessness and basically just conquering planets, he wanted to feel that again. He wanted to be able to be his old self, and it was basically the desire to be stronger that pushed him, especially after seeing that Goku still has that gap between them. Anyways, Majin Vegeta ends up fighting Goku to a stalemate, while catching him off guard a few times, getting the upper hand a couple times actually. Yeah, I guess it's noteworthy that Goku wasn't going all out since he didn't show Super Saiyan 3. But Goku eventually convinces Vegeta to stop fighting so that they can fight the mutual threat in Majin Buu. Vegeta agrees, only to make Goku drop his guard. Once Goku dropped his guard, Vegeta knocked Goku out, took the Senzu Bean, and then went to fight Majin Buu alone. So he fights Majin Buu, and Majin Buu basically doesn't feel anything Vegeta does. Vegeta realizes this and decides to sacrifice himself. Gives his son a hug, tells Piccolo to take the boys and get the fuck out of there. And then Vegeta does his final atonement, a self-destruction technique, in an attempt to kill Majin Buu. And it obliterates Buu, but he regenerates. So it's a sacrifice in vain. But it was one of the coolest endings. Like watching a guy go from villain to anti-hero, back to villain, and then back to anti-hero, was really dope. Seeing him sacrifice himself for his wife, his son, and all the other Earthlings, plus mentioning Goku in there, was one of the coolest things ever, and that's the reason he's going to gain my top spot. He's also my favorite character in general, so it makes sense that he tops my villain list. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Leave your top 5 list in the comment section down below. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.